Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well. Happy Sunday. So, this Sunday, I wanted to present an edited version of the final day of the 3-month winter sort of intensive that we had a couple months back. And that will sort of end the presenting of the winter teachings. And next week, I will post the last two teachings that are in the archive. And then we will be all caught up. And then we'll go back to just having teachings posted on Sunday. So I hope you enjoy this teaching. Everyone, hope you all well, and congratulations. Today is the very last day of the 3 months practice. I'm very proud of everyone. It is not easy to do what we've done and to focus on doing something that we are not used to do, and to take the time from our busy days to do it. So I am very proud of everyone for doing what you've done, and regardless to the extent that you did it, just to be open to listening to teachings like this speaks very highly of you and your desire to grow, to change, and to connect with the force that gives us life. As a community, this is truly a time to honor ourselves and our dedication, and doing something for a 3-month period, even if it's just listening to what I have to say and what I have to share about God and the spiritual path and how to deepen and connect with ourselves, is truly a truly beautiful thing. And that motivation within us is truly worth celebrating. So today, in many ways, as we give thanks to God, we are celebrating ourselves. So these last 3 months, we've really focused on inviting the presence of the Lord by connecting with ourselves, healing ourselves, using these, skillful means, these techniques, these practices to clean ourselves, and learning how to work with our bodies. We've invited in the presence of God. We've created, in a way, a clean table for Him, or on the way of creating a clean table. We've sort of cleared up some of the things that blocked us and prepared ourselves to receive, in a way, to receive a meal of life with a capital L, because that Spirit of God is life. It's our connection to life. It's that umbilical cord which we always need to be alive. That connection to His Spirit, to his Wi-Fi that animates our body, and hopefully people have begun to get a feeling of that. It's the essence, the water, the living water that we convert into the energy that animates like sap in a tree, that gives life to our tree of life, so it may bloom and live and give good fruit and long life and health, because we are in alignment with the truth that is our essence. And to take the time and effort to do this is truly worth celebrating. In many ways, in these last 3 months, during this period of focus and dedication, we've been resurrecting ourselves. We've been resurrecting ourselves from bad habits, from an attention outwards of doing things without touching in, collecting our thoughts, our motivations, our actions, and to check into which voices within ourselves do we listen to, do we give priority to, do we allow to influence us. We are resurrecting ourselves from levels of disconnectedness from our true selves. In a way, the lack of connection, the disconnect, the deficit from the 5 bars of a really good Wi-Fi signal, or the 5G you see when you know you're connected and you're going to get fast responses from the internet, from the Spirit of God, is a form of death. It's a dead place. And if you're really really disconnected, because you never could be fully disconnected and be alive, that's not possible, just not possible. You know, you feel like you're in a dead zone. You're not capturing any signal that you're conscious of. And as we reach out to God with our intent and our desire, even if we don't feel anything back, and that's okay. You know, for many years, I didn't feel anything back, especially when I was younger. A little here, a little there, but, you know, it felt a little bit like a one-way street. But in my heart, I had the desire to connect. And then I developed the looking forward to spending time with God by going to church, or to pray on a beach, or be in solitary with myself. I felt a wholeness, but I didn't so much feel a lot of signal coming towards me. But the heart was in the right place. The motivations were in the right place. And it takes time. And it's not that I was younger, but that I was a beginner. And I say this to encourage everyone. You don't get to be a champion swimmer overnight. Bandwidth takes time to connect with. In a way, maybe it's a little bit like a satellite. You got to find that signal for that emergency iPhone connection, when you're out in the middle of nowhere. Let's say kind of point in this direction and see as you capturing the signal before you could send out a message, right? So, in a way, our desire is moving our antenna away from things it's been directed towards for most of our life. A conscious decision to look for that signal. And it might be, as you get closer to that direction of God, that frequency of God, the signal gets stronger. But you've got to spend the time sort of fine-tuning that direction to capture those 5 bars. And as we spend time in meditation, using the tantric mantra practice, right, the name of God, of Yahweh, or a name that we feel called to, we clear ourselves, we call in Yahweh, His Spirit, that Holy Spirit of Yahweh. When we do this space practice where we focus on the spaciousness, we clear our container, clean the rust off our antenna, clean the wires that lead to our antenna, all those blocks in our body, the stress, the tension. We learn to work with sort of our hard drive, right, our brain, right, our processing chip, and we learn to delete that cache, right, that clutter that's in the computer that makes it run slow, sluggish, that causes the computer to crash, which is us, right? So causes us isn't our minds, right? So the clutter keeps our consciousness from functioning at 100%. It's not clean, the cache, right? So when we do this space and we learn to be present, we're no longer allowing ourselves to be influenced by subconscious thoughts, regrets, hurt, trauma, pain, bad ideas, bad habits, anything that keeps us from that beautiful 5-bar, 5G UC connection, and maybe one day 6G and onwards, right? So that helps us to go from the Pinto, right, to the truck, to the big Ford trucks with these huge tires that really nothing can stop, right? We've all seen those massive trucks. To the sports car, that Ferrari just cruising along on a highway that seems very straight, but for most people, that highway might not be so straight and might be bumpy for them, but for us, we know how to do it, right? To the Learjet, to the spaceship, levels of connection, levels of clearing that pot, levels of the dedication, putting in the time, and as you discover, and I hope most of us have discovered this, or people will when they put in more time. Look, at the beginning, it could be a little difficult, right? To go against the habit of not being still and doing something new. But I think people have discovered it's no longer as much of a struggle. And when you start feeling the wholeness and the benefit and that holding and the warmth of connecting with the signal, or just having the intent of trying to be in the presence, one starts looking forward to it. At the beginning, it might be, for an example, making a regular time to go to temple or synagogue on Saturday, or going to church on Sunday, or spending some time alone in prayer in the way you feel you should, right? That might be challenging at the beginning. Like all habits, they take time, but then you look forward to it. And when you're there, you are able to engage in ever deeper ways. And God willing, it becomes one of the highlights of your week, and you wouldn't dream of missing it. You wouldn't want to miss your time. You know, for a while, I was involved in some very advanced, challenging practices, and I spent over 2.5 hours every morning before work doing them. And some of the practices were very physically strenuous. And I looked forward to it. I wouldn't miss it. It was the highlight of my day. But at the beginning, it was, something. So to go against the momentum, to focus on resurrecting ourselves, is really worthy of congratulations. Truly. It is the most magnificent thing, in my opinion, that any human being can do. It's really one of the main things that differentiates ourselves from the rest of God's creatures on this planet. Humans are the only ones able, as far as I can tell, to be able to pray, that have a religion. If you think about it, you don't see cats praying. Maybe they have something going on in their minds and we don't know them very well. Or dolphins, the advanced species, right? But we're the only ones who have objects and temples, churches. And we have that special connection with God, because God principally created us and made us the steward of animals. We are the children of God. It's us, humans. And when we connect back with the divine, we are returning home. And when we're disconnected, not connected, those, in a way, are dead spaces, places that we are learning to go to bring back the source of life, to bring in that resurrection, to reascend back to God, to be in greater communion and receive those blessings, that healing, mental, psychological, physical, the wisdom, the guidance. But those are the benefits. You know, the second or third things on the list. Ultimately, the most powerful motivation, which ironically allows the second, third, fourth, fifth things on the list, the benefits, which might also motivate us to be that much stronger if our primary motivation is devotion and love to God and a desire in our hearts to reconnect. Even if we feel that we're not fully there yet. And if people just started, you know, even a year ago, it takes time. But you do feel more and more and more and more as you move sort of that iPhone closer to that signal where it's coming from. And it's not outside of ourselves necessarily, though it could feel that way, and that's fine. And it could feel like it's coming from within, and you could feel it through the heart. Sometimes I often feel it through my third eye or the crown chakra, and also the heart. Is it from the inside? Is it from the outside? Is it all around us? Ultimately, you're bathed in the signal, and it's hard to determine. And at some points you might feel it in different ways, but it's the connection. That connection is our resurrection from a more human, mundane life to a higher frequency, which is our birthright. We are reconnecting to our birthright, to closer to where we would be if this were a higher vibrational planet. We would naturally be in higher frequencies. Adam and Eve, before the fall, were in complete union with God. It's said in Genesis that God walked amongst them. They were in union because they were at a frequency so high that they were alignment. They didn't know duality, difference between good and evil. There was a great connection. They were at, 100 GUC. They were there. Their Wi-Fi signal was 10 out of 10 bars. And ultimately, we work towards that. And that desire truly makes me very proud of all of you. It is truly, 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 truly a blessed and wonderful thing that you have the motivation. And I am so proud and humbled that we can do this together. Truly wonderful desires to reconnect with relationships, to heal, desire to do what's right and try to make our lives better. It's beautiful, and I know it's beautiful in God's eyes. It's not usual in this world nowadays, sadly. But it gives us hope. There are people like us who are trying. The trying and the effort means a lot. Not so much the attainment. Of course, try to live a good life. But, whether you are only able to ever get 3 Gs or 2 Gs really doesn't so much matter. It's the effort and trying and changing and working on those aspects of ourselves that need to work. and making some progress in how we treat each other, and hopefully treat each other well. Whether we are more mystical and be more in communion, it's not so much winning of a race to be able to get there. Some have more of a propensity, but what's important is the devotion of the heart. And truly there is a full connection there. The devotion from our heart to God's. That frequency connection, and you will feel held. You will feel more whole. And we've done some wonderful steps for that. Fuels us to bloom. Have primed our tree to bloom with beautiful foliage to get sustenance from the water of our prayers and our practice, so the leaves will shine, further helping us grow and to bear good fruit. So please continue, please keep growing. Periods of intensive practice of focus, hopefully, and the prayer is that we are able to maintain that momentum moving forward, because every breath, every moment in our life is a moment of communion with God. And it could be a moment of prayer and practice. Ultimately, the intent, a place of fruition is that everything we do is a prayer. And prayer is in alignment with God 24/7, 365 days a year. And that is a stage of what people call to be, well, I don't know, people are confused on the term, but it's a stage of enlightenment, because the connection is maintained, the awareness is maintained, the ability to pray is able to be called upon in 0.2 seconds. Manifestation of who we are is never lost, but we could quickly, if the situation calls us, be so much more. And as you're beginning to gather, this is why the path is just so amazing. So why don't we take a little time here at the end, and let's pray and meditate together, and connect with that heart of devotion to God. So thank you very much for joining me this Sunday, and I look forward to being with you all next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.